Hare Krishna. So here's a question about interracial marriages. What does Shastra say about them? Are they okay? Are they not? So let's see. Historically, previous culture, people did not move around much. Everyone, mostly when they're born in a certain place, they would live in a certain place, die in a certain place. They had not much interactions with other people, other culture, other areas. Right? Everything was locally. They would eat locally, live locally, work locally. Very few people would travel. Usually the sadhus, the holy people, they would travel to preach, to spread knowledge. Or people would go for tirth yatras, right, traveling to holy places. Or some local king from a neighboring village would come to conquer. Once in a while, a businessman, a vaishya, vyapari, would go around to sell some things. There's a few people who would move around. Right? But nowadays, in today's society, you can get anything from anywhere, anytime. Everything is mixed up. The whole world is opened up. We are so exposed to others' cultures, other people's lifestyles and races. We are so much exposed. Right? So therefore, there is always this interracial marriages that will happen. Now, science says, some studies in science says that if a child is born of mixed parentage, they'll be very smart. So people are very interested in this, right? But we have to ask a question: what kind of smartness is this? Is it that mischievous kind of smartness, or is it the promiscuous kind of smartness? So we may not want this. So Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, when he spoke to Arjun, he introduced the concept called Varna Sankara. First chapter, 42nd verse. Varna means color, Varna, and Sankara means mixed. So basically, this is called mixed colors. If a child is born of, let's say, mixed parentage, right? Mixed colors, mixed breed, a person factually doesn't know who he is. If you ask a person, what are you? They'll be like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. They say a man everywhere is a man nowhere, kind of like that. So culture is very important in our lives. We need culture, right? Why? If you take an example, culture is like a pot, right? And if you take spirituality, spirituality is like milk. Now, if you want to boil the milk, you need a pot, right? You cannot boil milk without a pot. So both culture is helpful or aiding towards spirituality. But imagine if the pot is made out of different kinds of metals, right? You got brass, you got steel, you got aluminium. What's going to happen? High chances you're going to burn the milk, at different points. So so therefore, to have a uniform culture is kind of important. A standard culture is important. If you have a mixed culture, it's going to be kind of difficult. Let's look at this further. What does culture mean? Culture here mean the style or the way in which we do things, the way in which you honor the birth of a child in the family, naming ceremony, death ceremonies, marriage ceremonies, so on and so forth. These are all samskaras, events in life, which these samskaras are to be done with sanskruti. Samskaras, right? These interventions or these events in life are to be done with culture, Sanskruti. Now, we agree that every culture has their own tradition. Some of them are more refined than others, some are very top class, some are not so, whatever it may be. But following a culture helps, right, people to actually reach some point of spirituality. Why? Because there's discipline and there's rules that are involved. So let's see some practical examples now. Let's say a man and woman gets married and one of them is from North India and another from South India. Okay, so the South Indian person is used to eating rice and idli and sambar, and the North person may be accustomed to taking chapatis and rotis and more heavy foods like corn and paneer and this kind of things, which the South person may not be. So when the child grows up, there's a high chances that in the food style child will be mixed. In the language also, there's most of the times child born of mixed parentage, they do not know neither of their parents' languages, or even if they do, they could just speak a little or here and there, but reading, writing, no. So what happens then? All of them, mother, father, and child, because they are like three different people now, they have to adopt a totally different culture, right? And half of the time, or 99% of the time, people adopt what is called as the modern culture, right? The today's modern generation culture, and they start speaking English. But this is not really culture, this is cultureless, right? People dress any way they want, eat any way they want, do anything they want, and say this is my culture. This is not culture. Okay, because there's no guidance to it, because neither parent can actually teach the child properly, guide them. So now just imagine if someone is coming from an ancestry outside of India, it's even more difficult, right? Totally different. So it is a practical problem. In Shastras, we see some examples of this kind of mixed thing. A bad example is Ravana. Father was a Brahmin, mother is a Rakshashi, Kaikasi, right? If you want to see good examples, there are a few rishis born under special circumstances, like Dronacharya, who was born from a Brahmin father and some other mother, but they never grew up in that household, right? They grew up in a different place. We see Kashyap Rishi, Kashyap Maharishi, who had 13 wives, all of different varieties. One wife was the mother of the snakes, one wife was the mother of the birds, Vinata and Kadru. But whatever children born to them followed the mother's, style. Garuda was born to Vinata, and he became the king of the birds, like that. So somehow or other, we have to latch on to one. Okay. So culture is important because if we do not have a proper guidance, people do not know how to eat, how to sleep, how to work, how to pray, how to talk. Right? So the main thing is we need a common culture. That is what we need. So either we see sometimes the wife following the husband's culture in toto, or the husband following the wife's culture in toto, along with his family members to support and guide and train, because that is needed. In the earlier times, in kings' times also, they would marry from different places. Like for example, a South Indian princess was married to a North Indian king. It happens like that. But then the princess does not identify at all with the South India. She totally adopts the husband side, and the culture just continues like that. She forgets what she has been doing. She doesn't try to put that in because it becomes messy. So today's day, what we can think, especially we who are practicing bhakti in ISKCON, we cannot avoid this interracial thing. It's going to happen, right? In fact, ISKCON history is that only. We have devotees from all around the world. Past 50 years, there have been so many interracial marriages from Japan, someone from UK, someone from America, someone from Asia, someone from India, someone from China. They're getting married. So in our ISKCON, we see that in all these marriages, sometimes things work out pretty well. Why? Because they could adopt a common culture. And what culture is that? The ISKCON culture. Anywhere in the world you go, wake up early, 4:30 in the morning, you know there's Mangala Arti, standard prayers, standard Tulsi Puja, standard Narsimha Arti, standard Mridanga Kartal. In food, standard Paneer, standard Samosa. These are the things that we know. In worship, everyone worships Radha and Krishna. They worship Jagannath. We are not people from Odisha, but still, we worship Jagannath in the ISKCON way, ISKCON flavor, ISKCON understanding. So this is a beautiful culture that has been created, and if the parents can wholly adopt this one culture and teach this culture of ISKCON culture or the Gaudiya Vaishnavism culture to the child full in full, then there is no problem. Why? If someone asks the child, what varna are you? What color are you? Right, in the sense, what jati are you? Then the child just has to say, I'm Gaudiya Vaishnav, I'm ISKCON devotee. That is the flavor that he carries. He forgets everything else. So he will learn probably English because Prabhupada books are in English, some Sanskrit, a lot of shlokas are in Sanskrit, and some Bengali, nothing wrong. This is what we have adopted. This is ISKCON culture. All our songs are Bengali. So if two people of different race, different cultures, they want to unite, but if they do it without a common cultural platform, no center point, oh, then the child, the future family is just going to be mixed up. There's going to be end up a mixture of colors, Varna Shankara, very dangerous. So at least we can appreciate that we need, we are not against this. There is a danger of this, like Bhagavad Gita mentions. What happens when a person is Varna Shankara? Neither here, neither there. But we have to, somehow be a little intelligent to adopt one common culture. Of course, not the modern day life. That is not a culture only. They do not know how to eat or sleep, but at least something. So in ISKCON, we are fortunate if we wholly and solely adopt whatever the teachings are and little forego what we have grown up with. Right? If someone is from South India, you may not celebrate the same festivals you had done when you were a child. That's fine. Now you're in ISKCON, whatever the our Vaishnava calendar follows, that only we follow. That's fine, nothing wrong in that. So we grew up in an ISKCON atmosphere with ISKCON devotees, and looks like this is how things are going to turn out in future also. So there's never, like a bad thing. There's always a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. So if we remember this, then things can be okay. Hare Krishna.